Survivor fans, the season's almost over. We just had a 2-hour episode on Wednesday. The first hour was called Kind of Like Cream Cheese. The second hour was called Still Holding On. There's only 6 people left, Matt. At this point, are you still rooting for Baylor? Because you and I have been going back and forth since episode 1 about whether we would drop Baylor off of our predictions or whether we would keep her. What are you doing?
I dropped her before the double episode. I just couldn't see her getting the jury votes. Look, if she makes a big move in the next week or two, maybe, and she's sitting next to the right people, possibly. I wouldn't say she's got no chance of winning, but I can't just keep on predicting her, holding out for her to make some big move that hasn't been foreshadowed at all. So I've flipped to Natalie. I think she's in a great position to win. As you, I'm not sure if you're predicting her yet or what, but I know you think she deserves to win because you wrote an article this week.
Yes, and I just want to make it clear to our viewers, I did not know you switched to Natalie, and you do not know that right now I am on GoldDerby.com. I'm going to do this live for everybody. I am changing my prediction right now to Natalie. So Baylor is going down to second place. Natalie is in first place. I'm hitting save, and it's saved. Okay, it's done. I'm going for Natalie too.
Okay.
Yeah, I did write that article, 5 reasons why she'll win. And I know you had an issue with one of the points. So let me just go through the points.
I think so. I can't remember. You run through the 5 points, and I'll tell you if you're on the money or if I agree with you or not on each of those points as to why Natalie will win. We both agree that she will. So I'll just be sort of focusing in on why, I guess. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, and before this 2-hour episode, I liked Natalie. She was entertaining. But really, this 2 hours, it focused on her a lot, and it showed a lot of moves that she was doing. And it made me realize she's really playing this. She's playing harder than anyone else. And so, okay, here are the 5 reasons. She survived the longest as a single. This is a blood versus water season where your partner is a big part of your game, and her sister Nadia was the very first one out. So she was at a huge disadvantage from the very first episode, basically. And she came with that huge target, the Amazing Race target. Her sister couldn't survive it, but so far Natalie has. So that's all my number 1 choice.
Yeah, and I think this has been an asset to her, this surviving longest as a single, because it's meant she has been able to be a bit more malleable than someone who's attached to a couple, and we've definitely seen that with John and Jacqueline, how they're constantly having to negotiate with one another, and what's Jacqueline feeling, John might have to go with that. What's John feeling, Jacqueline might have to go to that. I think that's definitely been why Baylor hasn't been able to play a great season. She's been too attached to her mother's plans, and Natalie's been able to just be much more malleable in the game and go with okay, Jeremy's also single, let's us team up. Oh, Jeremy's voted out, that's okay, I'll stick with that alliance without having to feel like, you just voted out my husband or boyfriend or brother or whatever it is. So I think she's had some freedom in the game because of that, and she's sort of, I guess, learnt from that experience of having a sister voted out that probably got her in the mindset of the game a lot quicker than everyone else who was just happy to be there with their loved one. So, we saw that in First Blood vs. Water, how Tyson losing Rachel was able to sort of get him really focused on, oh man, my girlfriend's just been voted out. I need to win this now. Yeah.
I think
good point.
I love how, I think it was episode 2 after Nadia got voted out, Natalie told us told the camera, that she and her sister had never been apart, since they were born, basically, 30 years ago or so. And then we have Julie, who can't be apart for John Rocker, so she quits the game. It's just the big difference between Julie and Natalie is how they are, as a single, and that's one of the reasons that I'm picking Natalie to win. Second reason, she sleeps with the enemies. A lot of people on Survivor, when you have an enemy, you stay away from them, you gossip about them behind their backs. She befriends him. She gives him a reward. She won that reward challenge, that endurance one, where she's holding the stick and against the ball. I don't know how to describe it, but she won that. She took John and Jacqueline with her just so that she could make them feel comfortable. That's a genius move, right?
I think that's and that's been her. I think that's her best reason why she will probably win this game, is because when Jeremy got voted out, that was her closest person in the game at that point. And she could have just flipped over to the other group, gotten really mad at everyone, but she didn't do that. She stayed with them. She kept nurturing those relationships. She didn't outwardly hold a grudge about it. And she worked with those people moving forward, even though they'd betrayed her. And that shows real strength in the game. And now she sort of she's sort of just waited for the time when she can make a move against those people if she wants to, and if it's in her best benefit. So, this is really good to be able to sort of get someone close and someone with an idol to not know that the storm is coming. And I think she did a really good job of getting Baylor being able to get Baylor not to tell Missy, who's close with John, about it, the plan to get rid of John. And yeah, I just really think that Natalie has done such a good job in nurturing that relationship with John and Jacqueline. So if John were to go last week, and he wasn't immune, so he wouldn't have seen it coming. And would have been a great move to Natalie's belt. So yeah, no, I agree. Sleeping with the enemy is a good one. Though I think it was funny when she woke up, when they woke up and she'd gone off to help get wood or something. It's never a good idea. You don't want to wake up in the morning to the note on the bedside table, do you? You want to
right.
Yeah, but no, great play by Natalie.
Yeah, and you kind of alluded to number 3, and that's the fact that her loyalties are really, really long-lasting. Her loyalty with Jeremy, after they both became singles, they pretty much played the whole game together. And when he was blindsided by their very own alliance, she still remained loyal to him. The reason she wants John out is because he voted out Jeremy. So this is someone who, she doesn't just say that she's going to be with you. If she's with you, she's with you. She's with Baylor. She's with Missy. This could be our final 3 now. Natalie.
Although not John.
Right. Yeah. That's the thing. If she tells us that she's with someone, then she's with someone. But if she, on the show, sometimes you have to lie.
Yeah. Look, and I think this is one thing that could pose an issue if she becomes more focused on getting revenge for Jeremy than she does on winning the game. And I think that's sometimes what can happen on Survivor. You get so focused on a small victory, you lose sight of the bigger one. And I think one great example was Boston Rob in Heroes vs. Villains, where I think he was so focused on getting rid of Russell that he ended up going home because, he couldn't convince Coach to vote out Russell. Maybe if he'd shifted his attention to Parvati or Sandra, Coach would have been on board with his plan. And
the same happened in All Stars when Rob told Lex that he would have his back. You might remember more than me. And then when Lex got betrayed, he was totally focused on getting Rob out. He was so hurt by that, and that totally clouded Lex's game.
Yeah. So you sort of if Natalie thinks she can go to the end and beat John, then she might not need to get rid of him now.
That's a good point.
But I still think it was a good move. I approve of the move, but I do think her loyalty has to be to herself first. And but I do think what you say about loyalty is good too. She'll be able to say to a lot of people on the jury, "Hey, Jeremy, I was really upset when they voted you out. I tried to get revenge for you." Or, "Oh, hey, Keith, when your back was against the wall, I helped you out and gave you an extra 3 days in the game," and stuff like that. So I think she's got a lot. I don't think anyone doesn't like Natalie in the game, because she sort of has looked out for a number of different people and hasn't been rude to anyone. Yeah.
A lot of people at home don't like her, but I think that's because of The Amazing Race. She was her and her sister were kind of polarizing on The Amazing Race. I feel like she's overcome that on Survivor, but there's still a lot of people, including my grandma, that hate Natalie still. And, nothing Natalie will do will ever, she'll never become, whole again in a lot of people's eyes.
Interesting. And I bet part of being with her twin probably makes her a bit more annoying, I would guess. I think Missy and Baylor have been a lot more annoying because they've both been on the show than it would have been if it was just one of them playing the game. And I'd say maybe even to a lesser degree, John and Jacqueline, who are a bit coupley and grading and stuff together, and like, oh, aren't we amazing? We're the dream couple. Where if it was just one of them, it'd be a bit more of an individual story. So I think Natalie not having a cousin, not having a sister, sorry, has made her a lot more, like, she can be her own person rather than just, oh, look at those two annoying people always getting excited about each other.
Right. And we'll have to talk later about John and Jacqueline's epic fight. So awkward to watch and so interesting at the same time. But my fourth reason for Natalie why she deserves to win is that she went against her alliance last week. And it wasn't a big move. It's not like she voted out Jacqueline, which she could have. She just voted out Alec instead of Keith because she trusted Keith more. So that was a personal thing for her. You know, she still didn't vote out someone in her alliance, but she still didn't go along with her alliance's plan, which is really important. Even Alec, I got to talk to Alec after his vote off, and he actually told me, I have to tip my hat to Natalie because that was a great move. If he's feeling like this, and she is one of the final two or final three, he's probably going to vote for her, even though he voted her out, because he respects that move.
Yeah, and that what, like, it's not like she'd said to Alex, like, I'm not writing your name down tonight or anything. I would by no means think that she'd lose Alex's vote for that, because she didn't really backstab him at all in that move. It was backstabbing John and Jacqueline and Missy, and is who she backstabbed there, not Alec. This is why I don't like that move and why I think it could pose issues for her, and why, this is probably your point that I disagree with, is... if she's wanting to get rid of John, if she's wanting to blindside John, he's got an idol, he can't see it coming at all. And I'm just wondering if this tips her hat a bit too much. That she should have just gone with John's plan. Like, Alec would have voted with her next week anyway. Like, I don't think, you know, in some ways, Alec might be less likely to say at Tribal than keep. I just stick with the plan, Natalie. But yeah, I just think, I just wonder, like, you know, the beauty of this up until that point was John did not see her coming for him at all. And I wonder if next week he's going to be, why did Natalie go against us? Oh, now I'm a bit scared. Now I might need to play the idol this week. Like, right. And now, yeah. Yeah, so anyway, I don't know.
When is the last time they can play the idol? Is it, if there's 6 left, so they can play at 6 and they can play it at 5, right?
They usually Final Five's the last time you can play it. So, yeah. So, Final Five's the last time you can play it. Means John will either play it this week or next week for him or Jacqueline. You know, I would, and obviously we've got the hindsight of the edits, hope that if John doesn't play it this week, that he gives it to Natalie before the votes are read, just because I think, like, you'd have to have in your head, well, if they blindside either of us, it'll be John. We want Jacqueline to still have the idol next week to play. But yeah, that'd be interesting to see what he does with the idol if he's not playing it, of whose possession it's in and what the sort of rules are with transferring it and things like that. But anyway, yeah, so I'm a bit worried that Natalie may have just tipped her hand and maybe caused unnecessary waves because of that move that could maybe people now turn on Natalie. I don't think they will. But
I think it just depends on whether or not Baylor and Missy knew that she was doing that, because it's very possible they were in on that with her. We just don't know. We'll have to find out on the next
Baylor knew that she was going to do it. Okay. But I think Missy looked surprised at Tribal Council. And I think now and I guess this is why it might not matter that much either way. Like, now that it's 6, they're probably going to need Missy's vote to blindside John anyway. So, like, even if John didn't see it coming, so they're going to have to bring Missy into this plan, because they're going to need four of the 6 votes. So they got Keith, they got Baylor, they got Natalie. To get rid of John, they're going to need Missy on board. And I guess that's going to be their hard sell. So they're going to need to get Missy on board, number 1. And number 2, they're going to need to let John not see it coming.
Right.
And they're two big ifs, 2 massive ifs.
The final reason is kind of obvious. It is the fact that she actually has an immunity idol. And so she will most likely, unless she's dumb. She will most likely make it to Final Five because she'll play if she feels that she needs to. She could very well make it to Final Four. And once she's there, she has Missy and Baylor. So this idol will essentially help her and her alliance make it to the Final Three. Do you see this trio as the Final Three? Do you think? Because I do.
I think that's your most likely Final Three at this point. Although, if they get rid of John this week, I guess there'll become the question, and that's a big if. I don't think they're necessarily getting rid of John, but let's say they get rid of John or Jacqueline this week. Does then your Jacqueline, your Natalie, and your Keith go? We want to break up the last couple.
Yeah.
Do people go? No, we don't really. Missy and Baylor have too much power. We need to get rid of one of them. I think that's the argument against Missy and Baylor. But that being said, I think that your most likely Final Three is Baylor, Missy, and Natalie. And I guess also, does Missy and Baylor decide, we want one of us on the jury? I don't see them having that forethought. So I don't see them having. I think they're going to be like, let's go to the final 2 to 3 together, mother daughter stuff. But
sorry, if this is the Final Three, sorry.
Yes. No, go. If this is the Final Three,
I could see a scenario where Missy and Baylor split the vote, maybe get 1 vote each, and then Natalie has the remaining 7 votes or however many people end up on the jury.
I see Missy and Baylor splitting 0 votes.
So you think this could be Natalie has 9 or whatever, Baylor 0, Missy 0? Do you think it's going to be one of those?
I can see that. Wait. I think John might vote Missy.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
I think John might vote Missy. I think you might have a 1 vote for Missy and an 8 votes for Natalie or whatever, how many people are on there.
Well, with this move Natalie just did, voting out Alec and keeping Keith, that means she has Keith's vote to win. She has.
I think Alec's vote.
West. I think Alec respects that move. Jeremy.
Josh and Reed. Jeremy's vote. Josh and Reed like much more.
They don't like Baylor.
Missy and Baylor. Sorry, yeah.
Right.
So yeah,
wow.
she's got the jury look. I'll be honest, I think maybe if she's up against Keith, I can see maybe Keith having some form of support of maybe Alec and Wes might like Keith.
Right.
Maybe Missy or Baylor, I don't know, don't like Natalie because she stabbed one of them in the back or so. Maybe I don't think Keith's got enough votes to beat her, but I think even her against John and Jacqueline, I just think she's a very appealing final jury person.
Mm-hmm. And I think about
Natalie's biggest problem is if people realize just how big a jury threat she is. Because I think she's got a lot of votes on that jury. I'm not sure if John... I think in John's mind, he's the winner of Survivor. Mm-hmm. He'll beat anyone. He's got the Michael Skupin syndrome. Of, in Mike Skupin's mind in the Philippines, he'd beat Malcolm. He can put together a case against anyone on there, and he's going to win just because he played such a great game in his own mind. Whether he played a great game or not, that's not what the jury thought. And I think John could sleep on the idea that, Natalie is going to be viewed as a better player than me by the jury. I need to get rid of her. I don't think that's in John's head. Are Missy and Baylor a bit more perceptive to that? Maybe. But I think they sort of really like Natalie, and I think Missy thinks she'll be the mastermind. If it's those 3 at the end, I pulled all the strings, I was the person running the show, and that's our thing with Survivor. Everyone's sort of the star of their own show. It's very easy for us to sit back and go, Natalie's got the jury. But I think in Missy's mind, it's I was pulling all the strings, I was behind everything, and Johnny's I'm this amazing guy who was at the swing vote at all the big stages and made all these big moves, and Jacqueline's I was making these big, everyone thinks they were making, I bet Baylor thinks she's been making all the moves. So the great Survivor players are the ones that can realize who can beat them. And they get rid of those people. And that's Natalie's biggest problem. If the penny drops for enough that, boy, if we go to the end of Natalie, she wins the game.
Yeah. I cannot see someone like Jacqueline winning the game simply because the other alliance, the frat boy alliance, really, really disrespects her. Wes even said later on after he was voted out, he said that, one of the reasons he didn't go to her and ask for her support is because she didn't come to me either. And it's like you didn't need her. Or I'm sorry, she didn't need you. You needed her, so you should have gone to her. It's just Keith, Wes, Alec, they are not going to vote for Jacqueline. She's not going to win. Baylor's seen as lazy and annoying. She's not going to win. So those two are out.
I think Jacqueline's your second most likely to win.
You should write an article. Maybe if you.
I don't know if it's as poppy an article. Why Jacqueline is the second most likely to win Survivor. I think I might write an article on the edits or something like that, and who could possibly win Survivor, and then sort of rank them or something. That could be an article I write.
And make sure you put Jacqueline in 6th place.
No, she will be 2nd place because she's got the second best chance to win. Because I think I don't think she's as not liked as you think she is. Look, she's in next to Natalie, she loses. But I think if you got Jacqueline, Missy, and Baylor are the final 3. Like let's say your final 4 immunity challenge. Your final 4 is the 4 women, and Jacqueline wins immunity, so they can't vote her out. Then Missy and Baylor vote out Natalie. Then you got Jacqueline sitting in between Missy and Baylor, and I think the jury goes to Jacqueline.
You could be right. You could be right.
I think even if John and Jacqueline get control of the game, and it's John and Jacqueline sitting with like a Missy or a Baylor or a Keith in the middle of them, I could see the jury going for Jacqueline over John, because I think John's going to come across pretty arrogant at the end. I think he's going to be the one. Like Jacqueline's going to be the one who's like, "Oh, Natalie, thanks for telling John about the idol," and he's going to be, "Oh, no worries," and John's going to be like, "That was my move." Like,
oh God, I hated that.
That was all me. Like, yeah, that was me. That was all on me. So I don't know. I think Jacqueline could be more appealing to the jury than John, because I think she could be the John was the guy who thought he was running things, but I really was, or so I don't know. I could just see the jury finding Jacqueline a bit more sympathetic than John, who might come across as a bit entitled to the win.
Yeah. The thing is, though, like, John knows he didn't make that decision. He just wants people to think he made that decision. So I don't know if that's arrogance or if that's really good gameplay.
It's good. It's good in the sense that, yes, you want to be trying to take ownership for moves, even other people's moves, but you don't. But you can't do that by just telling people, so the person who made the move, that was my move, not your move. Like, and I think that's his, like, and I think that, yes, if you can try to get people to think that you were behind a move, that's a good thing. But I think at the same time, I think it's even worse to the jury if it looks like you're trying to take credit for someone else's move. And it was right in front of the jury that Natalie told John to play the idol.
Yeah, she did whisper it, though. Like, they had the subtitles, so that might have been
true. Yeah. So, maybe they didn't hear that, but I think, yes, if you can take credit for someone else's move, do it. But if you can't, don't try to, because you're just going to look silly.
Yeah, and, the fact that Ross, why do I keep messing up their names? Josh and Reed are both on the jury. These two guys are huge Survivor fans. They are going to vote for who played the best game. They're not going to vote for who they like the most or who they talk to the most. They're going to vote for who played the best. So this will probably come down to the final tribal council and the speeches that these people give. Natalie is very, very good at her social skills, so she could win. John is too, but I feel like Jacqueline is more quiet, and she's not as boisterous as those other people. That's why I'm just thinking that she's not in this.
I think she's articulate. I think if Jacqueline's at the end, she's not going to do a bad job of arguing for herself. I think she's used to miss pageants, of giving answers to questions at beauty pageants. Like, no, I think she'd do a good fun jury. I'd like to see the final jury: Natalie, Jacqueline, and whoever else, like Baylor. But you could sub out Baylor for Missy or Keith.
Keith
I'd
would
like
be
to see those final. Yeah, it's a Keith, a Jacqueline, and a Natalie final three. I'd be very interested. I think Natalie wins it, but I'd like to see how Jacqueline argues her case at the end. And it'd be just crazy to see how Keith argued his.
Right. And speaking of arguing, we saw a real life couples fight in Survivor this week. Jeff Probst, if he ever quits the show, which he probably will eventually, he should become a couples counselor, because the way he helped, John and Jacqueline get through this fight, by the end of Tribal Council, they were hugging again and apologizing. He has another job lined up, I think, already after Survivor.
Yeah. No, I agree. And did you have a side in that fight, Marcus?
Seeing it the way we saw it, I kind of saw John's side. He's on Exile Island for 2 days. He just wants to see his girlfriend. And in the moment she sees him, he felt like she didn't miss him as much as he missed her. So I kind of saw from his angle.
I sort of saw it more from Jacqueline's angle. I think that, you're playing Survivor. I get there's a personal element, but you want to spend time with your girlfriend, that's fine. She wants to talk to you about how she was feeling about things too. I just feel like him saying, I don't want to talk about that. I think she wasn't great in then flirting with Alec. I think that was
and
terrible. Boy, props to John. I feel like most guys would have not have kept their cool over that as much as he did. Where I love the bit at Tribal Council where Missy's and Jacqueline was flirting with Alec, and Alec's like, no, we were not flirting. I'm not that kind of guy. And Jacqueline goes, we were kind of flirting. I would have guessed that Alec would be the guy saying, we were kind of flirting a bit. And Jacqueline was like, no, I was not flirting. But no, she was like, yeah, we sort of flirting a bit. She liked it. She liked it too. Alec, the real player of the two, Christie brothers, to be honest. Drew did not do as well when he tried to flirt with Jacqueline on Exile as Alec did right in front of her boyfriend.
I forgot what I was just going to say. So, here we go. So the thing that really annoyed me was when Reed thinks that this fight was one of the reasons that he went home, because John and Jacqueline couldn't get together because they were fighting. They couldn't get together to save him. Reed, you got voted out because you were really, really smart. You were probably you would have won this game if you were in the final, and they all knew that. But the fact that he was so smart, really, I got annoyed when he yelled at Baylor at that reward challenge, calling her a brat. It's like, you watch the show, you know what happens when you do this. So why did you do it? Is it just the elements that got to him? He was hungry, he was tired. Is that why he called her a brat? Because he knows better than to do that.
Yeah, look, I didn't like that because it wasn't. He wasn't thinking about what he was doing, and that's never a good thing on Survivor. I don't think it ended up hurting him much that moment though, because he was sort of gunning for that alliance a bit anyway, trying to get Jacqueline to switch over. Yeah, Jacqueline was probably a bit annoyed at Missy and Baylor at that point for not picking her for the reward. So maybe by him calling her a brat, it sort of tapped into how Jacqueline was. You know how when you're annoyed at someone and someone else then gets mad at the person, and you're sort of like, oh, I wish I could say that. I'm so glad somebody has said something. So maybe it even helped him a little bit, but I didn't like it because that's not what he was trying to do. And it didn't that's not what he was thinking. He was just went out of the game. He wasn't thinking. Yeah. And so I didn't like that either. Although I think it wasn't a net loss for him. It could have even been a slight net gain for him. My favorite Reed bit was when he went up to Jacqueline and sort of said, can you sort out this fight because I'm the one going home?
Yeah.
And I just loved her response of, well, that sucks. That sucks for you, Reed.
Right.
But
I still believe that he would have gone home no matter what, just because he was such a good player and it was his time.
And look, I think he would have gone home the next week, if not this week. Yeah, I'm a bit like with Jacqueline. Look, it sucks for you, but it really not a huge, not a huge impact. Like really, yeah.
And then one last thing, we're running a little long here, but hey, we have 2 episodes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jeff stopped the reward challenge. I think this is the first time he's ever done this because the Alliance of Five, they were They were manipulating the challenge to give Missy the reward, and he actually stopped the challenge. What did you think of this? Because it was really a viral moment that a lot of people were talking about.
Yeah, I felt good. I felt good. They were starting to talk about. He should have even said no talking from now on.
Oh, that would have been better.
I think that may have been better. He said no talking. You just make the cuts you want to make. Maybe he'd worried that they'd already talked too much anyway. But I'm glad he got, because really, that challenge is great because it establishes a pecking order, and so that challenge is great because it establishes a pecking order. Firstly, and then secondly, what it does, so it establishes a pecking order within the alliance. So once they get rid of Keith and Alec and Reed, the people who clearly are on the outs, then it gets interesting. And as soon as it got to that point, they were ahead of the game there, which is a credit to those 5 players. And they go, we're not going to play into this. Let's just sort out something we're all happy with, and then it won't establish the pecking order that, would perhaps be detrimental to our alliance. So credit to them, but then credit to Jeff for stepping in. And he really, who wins? And Missy's like, I win, which is a bad play on Missy because you don't want to have to be the person choosing who goes. And everyone was sort of cool with that, though. That's fine. Then who are you going to pick? Baylor? I don't think anyone's crying too foul over that. Okay, she wants to go with her daughter. Makes sense. And then gets to who are you picking between Natalie and Jacqueline? So he just sort of sped it up to the point where someone might get offended. And they left the person at the bottom of the alliance, on the bottom of the totem pole, and that's not a good thing. Yeah.
So the great thing about Jeff's move is that we still got the pecking order. It just happened after the challenge. So we still found out that Natalie was with Missy and Baylor, and Jacqueline and John were on the outs. It came later than usual. So it still had the same outcome whether the challenge happened or not. And I think that's just one of the great things about that challenge and the way it happened.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. So I think that was I think so. That was good. I think Jeff did a great job there. Great double episode for Jeff with the couple counselling and the stepping into the challenge. And boy, Missy, really awful game picking Natalie and Baylor. Picking Jacqueline when John was sent to exile was a disaster. And almost that could have flipped Reed, and that could have ended Missy and Baylor's game. Right.
Yeah. You're a great Survivor expert, but you're also an expert on the Emmys. Can Jeff Probst use both of these episodes if magic happens and he gets submitted or gets nominated? Can he submit both because it was a 2-hour?
I think so. I think he can. Yeah.
I think the rule is, for actors, if it's a 2-hour, you could do that. I don't know about reality hosts. I'm sure it's the same rules. Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
So, but Magic will have to strike because he's been snubbed for 4 years now.
Yeah. So, lastly, I guess, who are you predicting to go home next week?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that. I just pulled up the odds, the overall Gold Derby odds. People think Missy is going home. I'm going to go for it and say John. I'm going to say Natalie's plan is going to come to fruition and John's going home. What about you?
Cool. John. I think John's my pick. I think he's going home. I think Natalie's plan's gonna work. If there's a chance it backfires on Natalie, there's a chance that Keith goes home. I think they're your only 3 that would be going home this week.
Or John could use the
Missy.
Idol and
sorry. Jacqueline could be. They could go. Oh, it's too risky going for John. Let's go for Jacqueline. I think Missy and Baylor are pretty safe this week. I think they're the only 2 I can't see going home.
And again, the overall odds think Missy will go home, followed by Keith, John in 3rd place, Jacqueline in 4th place, and Natalie in 5th place.
Well, there was that teaser that might show that Missy gets medevacked.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Oh well. But I'm gonna plan around that.
That's why she has number 1 odds. You're right. So it's not about gameplay; it's about that teaser. The
about
fact
that.
that they showed so
Yeah.
much in the teaser, it makes me think it's
Yeah.
a false
She
alarm.
could, she might not. I don't know. But anyway, I'm not factoring that in. As sometimes I would in other words, but I can see the John vote clear enough.
Mhm.
Anyway, it's been good chatting Survivor, Marcus.
I know. We look forward to seeing everyone next week. We're getting down to the wire. There's only like 2 episodes left.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
See you,
Bye.
Mark. Bye.